Hey, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about learning 10 songs using just 3 chords. Okay, now it's important that you know how to play these chords, and of course you want to develop your strumming and chord changes and all those kind of things, but let's go ahead and run through these 10 songs just to give you something fun to kind of play. Now, you might like one of these, you might like 2 of these, you might like all 10. The point is just to give you something for you to practice and just have some fun with, okay? So the 3 chords we're going to need are going to be G, C, and D. And it doesn't matter how you play them. If you play your G with 4 fingers or 3 fingers, or you play your G to C like this, or you play G to C like this, whatever works for you. Okay, these songs, it's not going to make any difference. Whatever's comfortable for you. So the first one we're going to talk about is a song by Sublime called What I Got. Okay, and all you're doing here is moving back and forth between D and G. So you're going D, G, just D and G back and forth. That is the entire song, okay? Now, when I chose these 10 songs, I tried to make sure that I chose songs that really were only 2 or 3 chords, not just like a section and then you have to stop, but you really could play this entire song with just 2 or 3 chords. So what I got, literally D and G all the way through. So D2, 3, 4, G2, 3, 4, D2, 3, 4, G2, 3, 4. That is the whole song, all right? The second one we're going to look at, actually the next group of 4 songs all use exactly the same chord progression, which is D, C, and G. Okay? D, C, and G. Now again, it doesn't matter if you play your C this way or if you like to play D, C, and G like that. Whatever works for you, okay? So the first one is going to be Sweet Home Alabama, okay? Sweet Home Alabama you can simply play by going D, C, G, D, C, G. Okay? Literally through the entire song, there's only one little teeny thing in there where it goes, there's a little teeny change in there and it's got an F chord and we're not even going to worry about that. But I'm just telling you that you may not even notice it when you play the song, okay? You can play through the entire song of Sweet Home Alabama just doing D, C, and G over and over and over, okay? The next one is Werewolves of London, okay? Werewolves of London is exactly the same thing, D, C, and G. And then the next one is All Summer Long by Kid Rock, which again is the exact same thing. Okay, so those 3 songs, exactly the same chord progression, almost exactly the same groove, okay? Now, the next one, this would be number 5, is Can't You See by Marshall Tucker. Now, this uses those same 3 chords, but the setup's just a little bit different. You're going to be playing D, C, G, D. Then you start all over with D again. So you're going D for a measure, C for a measure, G for a measure, D for a measure. Okay? I always teach these as what I refer to as a sandwich. It's a D sandwich. So you remember that you start with D and you end with D. That way, when you start all over, you remember to repeat D at the beginning again. So you're going D, C, and D. Then you gotta do D again and start all over. Okay, and that's your 5th song. The 6th song we're gonna look at is a song by George Thorogood, one of my favorite songs. It's called Get a Haircut. All right, now this one starts with an intro that's just G. Now right here he starts singing, and right when he starts singing, we're going to do this. We're going to go G, 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 G. Then we're going to go to C. Then we're going to go to D. Then we start all over again. So if you think about it, you're going G. The intro before he sings is just G. You just keep playing G and have some fun. When he starts singing, the song then will become G, 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 4 measures, then C, C, D, D. That's that song. So it's really an 8-measure sequence that gets repeated over and over and over. G for 4 measures, C for 2, D for 2. Okay? Next one we're going to look at is number 7, which is Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger. This goes like this. Just take those old records, G, C, D, and G. So this one is a G sandwich, okay? It's going G, G, G for 2 measures, C for 2 measures, D for 2 measures, and then G for 2 measures again. So try and visualize that in your head. You're just going G, G, C, C, D, D, G, G. Now, if for some reason you'd rather think of it as 1 measure and you're counting halftime or something, it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. The point is just understanding the setup. Because these songs really are that easy and they're a lot of fun as long as you know your chords and you can do some strumming, right? So you're going G, G, C, C, D, D, G, G. Those are the measures. So it's a G sandwich. You got to start all over again with G when you're done, okay? The next one we're going to look at is Tulsa Time by Eric Clapton, okay? Now this one just uses G and D. Those are the only 2 chords in the entire song. So you're going G, 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 D. Then we do the next part, which is D, 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 G. So let me show you this visually, what you're thinking. Tulsa Time, when he starts singing, all you're doing is going G, 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 D. Those are your 4 measures. And then you're going D, 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 G. So G for a measure, G for a measure, G for a measure, D for a measure. And then you're going to turn it around. D, 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 G. That's the entire song. Okay? So learning how to visualize these chord changes and different things like that, song structures, is really, really important. Okay, you can go on, a website, try and memorize all this, and you're looking at the words and it doesn't make sense. The nice thing is to simplify the visualization of this song in your brain. So if you want to play Tulsa Time, you're going G, 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 then D. Now we're just going to do the other part, which is D, 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 G. And then it starts all over. G. So technically this would be like a G sandwich too, because you're starting with G and then ending with G. Okay? Number 9 is going to be Hound Dog by Elvis. Now, because I'm showing you everything using these 3 chords, we're going to change the key of this by using a capo. Okay? So what you would do is you would put the capo on the 5th fret. Okay? Let's make sure it's on there nice. And it is. And now, if I put the capo on the 5th fret, I can still use G and C and D up here. Okay? So if let's say G, C, and D are the only 3 chords you really knew. Well, now you could play Hound Dog putting the capo on the 5th fret. So if you think about it, you're going, you ain't nothing but a G, G, then C, G, D, C, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, C, C, G, G. You ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Okay, so there you go. Another really fun song, really easy to play. And again, if you only know a couple of chords, use that capo and it's going to make it even easier. Okay? And then the last song we're going to look at is one of my favorite songs. It's called Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone. And this thing is literally using G and C back and forth. And you could even skip the C and just play G for the entire song and it would still sound just fine. Okay, so let me show you this. If you were going... you could do that for the entire song. But if you're familiar with Sly and the Family Stone, if you're familiar with Everyday People, if you did this... or if you played your C like this, it's even easier. If you go G, C, G, You can do that for the entire song, okay? So here's 10 really fun songs that you can play with just 3 chords. Now, you can watch this video as much as you need to, and pick the ones out of there that you want to try first, and just watch that over and over and over, and then start listening to the song and figure out how to play it. Okay? So remember, it's really important. Stay positive, have fun with this guitar, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Steve Stine here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do me a favor and like it and share it. And also, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you're always notified when I release new videos. And lastly, if you have any song requests, please look in the description. There's a link that you can click on and request a song, and I'll do my best to get to it as soon as possible.